Today I want to talk specifically about pain and go deeper into it and talk largely about the psychological parts of it. There's if you follow a biopsychosocial model, there's the actual biophysical, there's the sociological aspect of it, and there's the psychological aspect of it. I'm going to be talking a little bit about psychological, a little bit about kind of some of the physical changes that do actually happen with it and how those can actually contribute to the psychological, how there's some interplay there. It'll be interesting, and I think you'll learn a lot. I also want to talk about a pain management system that I use with everyone. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be going through my deadlifts and my squats, so just kind of like my regular lower body day. So starting off, what is pain? Well, at its core, it's a self-defense mechanism, right? Your body uses it to communicate with yourself to say that, hey, this is something that we don't want to do. This is something that might lead to injury or that is injuring us, and we need to get out. That can be good, and that is very useful, right? Pain is not bad. Pain is largely seen as bad, and all these things that are kind of saying, hey, get out of pain, get out of pain, get out of pain, and trying to be like, live a pain-free life. A pain-free life is not good. A pain-free life is a problem. If you can't feel pain, there is a lot of things that you're going to do that just end up absolutely wrecking you. It's actually like a documented disease, right? Like not being able to feel pain is problematic. You lack the nociceptors to feel pain, and you lack other things that like process pain, and that becomes a big problem. Getting rid of that idea of like a pain-free life and always having this negative relationship and negative connotation with pain or negative thoughts with pain, where it's like, hey, I'm feeling pain, that means bad. Like no more of that. That is wrong. And all of the marketing that uses that is just preying on something that's super easy and it's hurting you. So a pain-free life is completely unattainable. It's a problem, and it's not good to have a pain-free life. Pain isn't bad. So at the heart, pain is communication. Your body talking to your brain, saying, hey, this is happening here, or we're sensing something here. Not always accurate. It's actually very often inaccurate. We're sensing something here. We're going to talk to the brain. Brain, do what you got to do. Oh, come on, grip. So I like to use the words like your body's talking to you, or that it's a conversation, because it shows that it's not your body giving you orders. It's not saying, hey, there's pain, stop. There's pain, that means I can't do this. There's pain, no. It's just your body going, hey, this is what we're feeling. Okay, cool. Let's think that through and assess that a little bit more. This is the psychological side of it. Some of it may seem a little woo-woo, but it makes sense, and it can be very helpful. Kind of viewing it as like, hey, it's this conversation. Doesn't necessarily mean stop. It's not bad, it's just talking, right? I like to say, everyone has like a family member or a friend or like a TV character or a YouTube personality that they can kind of think of that is like hyper-reactive. Everything's like alarm bells anytime something happens. So pain signals are that person talking to you. Sometimes they're right. Some of it is right a lot of the time, but usually it's blown way out of proportion. So it's like, okay, yeah, I see you're feeling that, right? Because pain needs to be like, hey, we're really feeling this. Is this bad? No? Okay, keep going. So it's that person doing that, like really over the top. So a lot of the time, yeah, you're feeling pain. It's not necessarily being amplified, but it's not being toned down by a two-way conversation. You're just taking it as a one-way. You're taking it as authoritarian. It's telling you what to do. No, it's a conversation. Taking that aspect and like saying like, hey, yeah, a lot of the pain is in your control, instead of it being something that's telling you what to do, it's something that you can talk to and something that you can kind of like assess, gives you a lot more control and a lot more autonomy over your body and your life. Now pain isn't dictating what you do. Now pain is a smaller part of your life, and your life can get bigger and bigger. Whoops. Let's try that again. Oh, I can't hit the second 5 today. So that conversation part is kind of where there's like, hey, there's pain in your head, right? That's not meant in like a dismissive way. It's true. Everyone has pain in their head. Everyone's pain is at least partially in their head. There is a physical sense to it. There's the actual nerve signals being sent from the nerve fibers up to the brain. The brain processes it and the brain perceives it. The brain's going to perceive it on like multiple different aspects, right? So like memories, the actual just like sensory cortex. It's going to take your previous experiences. It's going to take your beliefs, your belief system with it, right? So there's a lot that goes into it. And this mental aspect of it, this psychological aspect of it, is something that feels out of control for a lot of people. And it's something that can be out of control for a lot of people. And then these pain signals don't get regulated and they get amplified. And they can get amplified in multiple ways. So there's the actual physical changes that can happen. So with long-standing pain, or even some short-standing pain, the body wants to be good at sensing it, right? Because it's this self-defense mechanism. It wants to protect itself. It wants to make sure that it's okay. It wants to make sure that you're okay. So it's sending these pain signals. And these nerve fibers, specific nerve fibers, can send pain. There's ones that send fast, there's ones that send slow. And as you have, especially if you have an injury in an area, those get better at sensing the pain. Those get more sensitive to it. This is that sensitization. And then your brain doesn't inhibit it as much. This is central sensitization then. So your brain is constantly kind of telling all your body to chill, just relax. It's okay, right? Your body's constantly bombarding it with sensations, right? It's noticing everything. But just like how you don't realize the pants you're wearing, the chair you're sitting on, really, for a lot of time, unless it's annoying you. But most things you don't notice. How your hair feels on your scalp. I may be setting some people off just by pointing it out, sorry. But it's getting these signals and then it's going, yeah, this is normal. Chill out. Sending these inhibiting signals, so it's like toning them down as they come in. So it's not like hitting thresholds so that it gets them, right? Body's constantly sensing. And pain is one of those sensations that your body's constantly feeling. But when there's an injury to an area, your brain's like, okay, let's not necessarily tone it down. Let's feel this so that we kind of protect it a little bit, assess the situation, and then we can go from there. But if you never kind of like reintroduce movement to it or regulate those signals, it can stay amped up. So these pain fibers are better at sensing it. Sometimes more nerve fibers actually start to send pain signals. So it's getting more signals. And then your brain is also not decreasing the sensation as much as it's like getting to it. So it's feeling it more. They're constantly being set off. They're constantly reaching that threshold to be like, okay, we can send this nerve signal out now. And then your brain gets bombarded with it and senses it. And then you have the whole perception with it, right? And if you have this negative experience with it, where you're told like, hey, you need a pain-free life. All pain is bad. And you have pain means stop, pain means bad, pain means harm, pain means injury, then you're going to have that negative reaction to it. So it's that this is where that psychological part ties in, where it's like, hey, you need the mental flexibility, cognitive flexibility to be like, hey, I don't think this is going to hurt. And to be able to adapt, right? Be able to take in new information. So if you always go to do something and you have it, oh, this is going to hurt when I bend down, and then you bend down, and it's like, oh, it didn't really hurt, but it's still there, and you don't have the flexibility to learn from it, and you just think, yeah, I'm broken. I'm always going to feel this. My knee is broken. My back is broken. I hate when people say that because it's not their fault, but they've been taught that, right? And a lot of practitioners teach people that. I need to fix you with my hands. You need to get on this machine to be fixed. You got to come see me to be fixed. You need a tune-up. You're not a car. You're not a machine. You're a living, adaptable human being. And all that like cognitive reinforcement of, hey, you need something done to you, you need me to fix you because you are broken, decreases your mental flexibility. It makes you believe in this broken state. It makes you always expect this movement to hurt, this movement to hurt, this body part to hurt, anything to hurt, because, oh, you know, I have a little bit of degeneration in my knee, because I have X, Y, and Z. It's still, you're just getting pain sensations, but you're not broken, right? There's plenty of evidence to show that, like, this is a little bit of a tangent. There's plenty of evidence to show that if you have, you know, arthritis, that degeneration, movement's not going to break it down more. If it's within your capacity, it's not breaking it down more. It's not bad. Running programs, walking programs, lifting programs, done over long periods of time have shown no damage to the joints, no breakdown in people with arthritis. So, tangent done. But it's this mindset of the broken, of the pain, that's stopping you from having that flexibility to be like, hey, okay, let's see how this feels. I'm stronger, I'm capable. Oh, there was no pain with that. Now I can learn that bending over isn't going to cause me pain anymore. And this is the beauty of using movement and exercise as treatment also, because now you get to show people and you get to show yourself when you're doing it. Practitioners get to show people. You, watching, you get to show yourself, hey, this is okay. Maybe you have to start with a quarter squat and you're like, wow, I never knew I could quarter squat. Maybe you have to get supports and do a full squat with support so you're less weight, but you're like, hey, that means I can squat. That means that's just where I need to start. That's my entry point, and then I can build it up from there. I don't need to just jump into 135 every time and go, oh, this feels awful. I'm hurt, I'm broken, I'm done. That's poor load management, poor cognitive flexibility. You need to reassess, understand that you're not broken. And I hope you're learning that from all of this. So that was a little bit of a rant. I need to get back to lifting some weight, and I'll be ranting again after this. Yeah, you're not broken. You just need to find your entry points. Your pain doesn't dictate your life. So I love to tell my patients, yeah, your pain is in your head. What are you going to do about it, right? That means that you can just use your head to overcome it. Instead of taking this like, hey, you're crazy, it's like, no, your brain is processing that pain. You can use that as a tool to overcome your pain. You can take control of it, right? Like I'm saying, it's this two-way conversation. It's not telling you what to do. You can listen to it and then respond. You don't have to be subordinate to it, right? Like there shouldn't be any like authoritarian relationship between the pain and you, right? It's a conversation, right? You're talking to it. You're understanding your body. You're learning, hey, okay, this is painful. That's that initial pain response. Usually there's that big spike in pain the first time you go to do something. Go do it again. Oh, it's not too bad. Okay, it's actually getting better. Now you can learn that and be like, hey, that just means my body was reacting highly. That just means it was that sensitization. That just means it was that hyperreactive state. Now as I'm moving, I'm talking to my body by moving. I'm letting it learn, hey, this is okay. Have that mental flexibility to be able to adapt to that, right? Gives you so much more. So this is kind of taking it from like an external locus of control. So, you're not in control of it. It's pain, it's controlling your life. That's it. You can't do anything too. This internal locus of control too, like, hey, it's having a conversation with you, but at the end of the day, you get to dictate what you do. You can overcome it. You can talk back, right? You can have that conversation. You can get them to calm down. Teach your brain, like, hey, this is all right. And then be open enough to understand, like, okay, instead of being afraid of everything, go into things with like this experimental and learning an open mind, right? Be like, okay, I'm just going to see how this feels. Well, you know what? Actually, now that I'm relaxed, I'm trying this out. It's not bad. So I didn't have this preconceived idea before going into it too. And tying that in, deep breathing exercises work amazing for this because usually you're all amped up before doing it. So this is another tactic I use with so many of my patients. It's like, yeah, let's do like 5-10 deep breaths. Calm your brain down. Get yourself ready to be in a state of exploration, right? Find that kid in you and just be like, oh, I'm going to explore this and see what it's like. Get that curiosity, right? Take those deep breaths. Get ready for a mindset of exploration and curiosity and go into it without any preconceived ideas, right? You're just, okay, that's how that felt. Awesome. I mean, it's not bad. I've had almost every single one of my patients that with like long-standing pain. This applies more to like longer-standing pain. Even like a lot of acute pain and like recurring pain, but like long-standing pain especially, where it's like, hey, like they're really afraid of something. It's like, take some deep breaths. And they do it, and it's like, see, that means it's not bad for you. It takes so long for them to actually learn and for the brain to actually learn to not have those responses. But it shows like, hey, see, it's in your head. And that means that you have control over it. It doesn't mean that it's fake. It's real. It's so real. But it means that you have control over it. It means that you can overcome it. It means that you can like think your way through a lot of it, right? And I don't know. It's just amazing, man. That blows my mind. It's great. So now you understand that, hey, pain's in your head, but it's like, okay, where do you go from that? How do you take that information and then teach yourself? This is where I like to use my 3 light system. So amazing. Not my 3 light system. I can't remember who was the creator of this. So the 3 light system's easy. It's just like a traffic light. Your green's your go zone. Your yellow is kind of like slow down, reassess, maybe hang out there. Red's like, hey, yeah, you got to stop. And every once in a while you hit red, and that's okay. So like that green being the go zone is like really low grade pain. You don't really have to change too much. It's there. A lot of the time this pain is like, yeah, you feel it, and then the more you do it, the better it gets. It's like, yeah, hang out, spend a lot of your time there. You can progress these activities. You can move these into activities that start pushing a little bit. Yellow zone's like that moderate pain where it's like, yeah, maybe you need to change things up a little bit. Walking's too painful, so you walk with a limp. Walking with a limp would be your green zone. Walking normally might be your yellow zone. So hang out here still for a good moderate chunk of time. Not the majority of your time, but a lot. And then the red zone's like pretty bad pain. Maybe you can't move for a few days after. It's like, oh, went too far. Oh well. Then you find your green zone activities again if you ever find the red zone. A lot of people freak out about finding the red zone. Red zone's not a big deal. Red zone is just it's almost good to find it because then you can better calibrate your activities. Like, hey, you know what? I thought squatting 135 was my yellow zone, but I was able to get up to 315 before I hit my red zone. So what's all that weight in between? Maybe I'm just really afraid. Maybe it's a lot of that psychological apprehension at 135. So that yellow zone is just mental yellow zone. But my body has a lot more to give. So it can help you calibrate your activities and understand things. Or maybe it's like you hit it sooner than expected, and that's okay. And you just go, okay, I'm going to work in here. And then your goal is to make that red zone your new yellow zone. And you need to have the mental flexibility and mental resilience to not be afraid of it, but want to overcome it, right? Just like fighting for that next weight, fighting for that next PR. Anytime you're coming back from pain or injury, it's like you're fighting to get back to where you were before. You're fighting for that next step. You're fighting to get back for everything. And every little bit where it's like, hey, that used to be red zone, but now it's yellow zone, or hey, that used to be yellow zone, now it's green zone, that's a huge win. That should fire you up. That should get you pumped. That should get you so excited to go harder and keep pushing and keep doing it and keep stick with it and like continue on with your rehab and just kind of getting you back to it, because it's huge. Those progressions are still huge. It's not so over. Don't be so reactionary and emotional. Tie yourself, like decouple that from it and be like, hey, awesome, got this. Now I can drive to the next one. Now I can drive to the next one. Now I can drive to the next one. Don't limit yourself. Don't be like, oh, I was here. I'm never going to get back there. Oh, I was here. And this is where I am now. No, go hard. You can't do a bodyweight squat, but you can do one with bands. So you're at half body weight. Awesome. That's a big win. You're going to work out there until you can get to bodyweight squat. When you get bodyweight squat, that's a PR. Hell yeah. Now keep going from there. Now go for squatting the bar. Now go for squatting 65 pounds. Now go for squatting 75 pounds, right? Every little chip. Progress doesn't happen in big jumps. It's little chips. It's consistent work over time. The exact same as like building strength, especially when you get to that top end strength, it can become a grind to just get those 5 extra kilos. You got to work hard for a year just to make a 5 kilo PR, but you commit to it because you know you can do it. It's the same thing with coming back from pain and injury. And especially if your pain has been long standing, your brain's learned a lot. So you got to take that time to teach it. You can just keep chipping away at it, and every little bit of progress is a win. And just like with strength training, it's not all purely linear, right? There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. Keep that calm mind, keep that mental flexibility, keep open to it, understand what you can do on the day, understand what you can do on the week, kind of find your averages, right? Maybe you're up here one day, maybe you're down here the next day, maybe you're here, there, right? And as long as you're slowly in that upward, even sometimes you'll be like that for a little bit, but then it starts going up. Sometimes you just need to maintain. You're making gains elsewhere. You're making like conceptual gains, like your brain gains, right? Not everything happens in one specific area. And you need to have that patience, you need to have that consistency, and you need to have that grind, really, right? It's still a grind. It's frustrating. I understand that, but like it's something that you can overcome. I have a video going over the 3-light system a little bit more in depth. Like one of my first few videos made called something like this superhero system, something. I suggest, go watch it, save it, learn it. You can use that system to overcome any injury, any pain you're having. That's the basis of all rehab. You understand hurt doesn't always equal harm. You understand? Yes, sometimes it can. But then that's why you work within your tolerance. So when I'm talking about tolerance, this 3-light system is that, right? Your green zone is very tolerable. Your yellow zone is like mostly tolerable. Your red zone is not tolerable yet. Not just a blank, like a concrete statement, it's a yet. So that red zone is always something you can work towards. This was one of my first videos, so I didn't have as much experience, so it's probably a little awkward. I could probably explain it a little better now if I made a full video on it, but it's still a great video to go watch. Any pain, any injury you have, that system will help you. I use that with every single one of my patients. There hasn't been a single patient that I've had that I don't use that system with, right? I teach it to them, and when I'm doing rehab with anything, I'm like referring to that system. I'm like, okay, how did that feel? A lot of time I get them, I'm like, is that green zone? They're like, yeah, it was high green zone, yellow's just getting into yellow zone. I'm like, awesome, we're gonna do 3 more sets there and see if that changes. Like, and that way they learn it a little bit better. Then I can give feedback and be like, hey, you said that was yellow zone. You just did it for 2 more sets, no problem. And then a whole workout after. And look at you, you're feeling better than when you came in. To me, that shows that's not yellow zone. That's actually green zone. So I can help them learn the system. It kind of streamlines their learning the system with it. But that's the point. Like I use it with everyone. It will help you overcome anything. You learn it and you get good with it, you can overcome pretty much anything with it. So with this whole pain in your head thing, that's where this like mental resiliency comes from. And this just general concept of resiliency or anti-fragility. Like, I do a lot of movements on my channel and just like in general, not just for my channel, but do a lot of movements that build up physical resilience, right? They get the body in awkward positions and the body can adapt to it. But just to go along with that and to get into those, I need a lot of mental resiliency as well. And these movements are building that up, right? You're teaching your brain, okay, it can produce force in these awkward positions. It is okay there. Yeah, you're getting to the end range and it's like, it's getting tight because your body's not used to being there and strong and coordinated. But the more you work to that, the easier it gets, right? This is like textbook flexibility, like physical flexibility. And that physical flexibility is just a lot of it is your body holding tension because it's unsure of that range. It doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel coordinated. It's like, hey, we don't know if we can get to there. So the muscles tighten up. They hold this neurological tension, neuromuscular tension, and it kind of stops you. That's why, you do a stretch, you relax, and you go again. Oh, you can do more. Do a little bit of PNF at the end range, and you go again. Oh, you can do more. You're calming down these signals of these from your sense organs and your tendons and your muscles of being like, hey, we're not sure about this range, and your joints. And then you're kind of going like, hey, it's okay, right? See, we can get to this and we can sit there and it's fine. And we go back and your brain goes like, okay, that range is fine. You go, okay, yeah, see, it's still fine. We can get to there. You're just doing the same thing with a lot of the movements I do. It's a lot of the same thing, but with load. So it's like amping those signals up and building the strength and the coordination. So your body knows like, hey, we are really safe there because we can produce force from there. Not only can we get into it, we can get out of it. That's fine. These movements and everything that I do is teaching you this mental resiliency to be like, hey, I can withstand that. I can do that task. I can squat. I can bend my back. I can do X, Y, and Z. I can do whatever I want to. I just need to find my starting point and build it up. And that's resilience right there. It's not just physical. It's not just having the physical capability to do it. The physical capability to do it is like the end product. All the rest of it, getting there, is so much of that mental resilience to not only believe that you will be able to do it, but also understanding how to find your starting point and understanding that, okay, I need to start here and then build it up over time and have that consistency and that grind to just like make those gains over time to get to there. It's believing like, hey, I don't need to be injured. I don't need to be afraid of that movement. I can start here and I will get there eventually. That's mental resilience. Whoops. Misgrooved there a little. My first time touching 190 in weeks. Didn't feel particularly hard. Just felt a little off. Damn. Well, I guess I have a goal to work towards again now. But overall, that felt really good. I was feeling pretty comfortable. Yeah, a little bit of a misgroove. Kind of couldn't quite push. No pain though. Very comfortable. Just keep building, right? Roll with the punches. Yeah, like I was saying, I'm trying this new stance. So a lot of it is just coordination with it. And I got to get used to it again. So that'll be there. But that's why I'm touching heavier weight with it too. Now that I'm comfortable, I'm going to start going into more doubles and get on that early so I can really get the practice and really kind of iron out, okay, I just need to build coordination with it. A lot of it, or some of it will be thinking, and a lot of it will just be my body doing what it needs to do and just understanding like, hey, this is how we balance now. That hurt versus harm is something that I want to touch on a little bit more too. So just because there's pain doesn't mean there's damage being done, right? And this all ties back to that hyperreactive response. So yes, sometimes there is damage with it and pain is good then, right? You want to protect it a little bit, but you don't need to be overprotective. These pain signals, like I'm saying, they're just your body communicating with you, and that continued conversation helps to regulate these signals. So it's like that conversation, right? It's giving everything, and then you're moving and showing like, hey, it can still be used. It's okay. your body's going to heal itself and repair itself, right? It's going to get that inflammation there. It's going to kind of clean stuff up and then lay down new material and go for it. That's another thing. Another kind of sidetrack is everyone's like, oh, no inflammation. I don't want inflammation. I need to control the swelling. I need to do this and that. That's a normal part of healing. Inflammation isn't bad. It's your body's response to something, right? So inflammation goes there. And then if it hangs around for a long time, yeah, it can cause some problems. But in the acute stages, it goes there and then your body eats up the bad things that are injured and dying. And then it kind of is like, okay, now we can bring in the new material. But another thing with that inflammation is like continuing to move and getting that circulation helps the waste go out and the nutrients come in. This is like really kind of like dumbed down physiology to an extent. But it's like your body is using that to signal like certain cells to come there to do their job. So inflammation isn't necessarily bad. You don't need to be popping Advils all the time, right? And like completely dummying your organs. Like accept it. It's okay. Let your body find its baseline again. Keep moving. That'll help kind of tone it down. As long as you're not overdoing things, it's not going to be crazy, right? And this is where, again, that system kind of ties in. It's like, hey, yeah, maybe you have a little bit of inflammation there, but it's like everything you're doing in the green zone is there and it goes down with time. Awesome. That's fine. Inflammation isn't necessarily bad. Can it suck and be aggravating? Yeah. It can set off your pain signals. But is it bad? No. You never want nothing of something that your body does. This is something I talk about a lot too with all my patients, and I have Instagram posts on it, but is like making your life bigger than your pain. Clifton and Greg Lehman have a podcast episode, and in it, Clifton was saying how, you know, he was making his life bigger than his pain. He was going out and doing his rock climbing and stuff. That's the key thing is like, you know, don't let pain control your life. If you're always reacting and responding to your pain, it controls your life. And your life is like this and your pain is like this. You barely have anything on the outside, right? But if you can kind of talk to it, find the activities you can do, go out and do other things, work around it a little bit, build yourself up, have those conversations with the pain so that it does shrink a little bit. And it's like, hey, you know what, whatever, it's pain, accept it. It's not a bad thing. And then it won't be amplified. And then your pain goes from here to here, not a big change, right? But your life goes from here to here. So pain is now just a small part of it. That's the biggest thing, right? That's another thing about that mental resiliency is understanding that, yes, pain is there, but it doesn't have to control your life. For that one, I'm just using the first couple reps to kind of build up comfort with the movement, and then it's just ramping up the speed, and then getting like at least three really good fast reps each way. I'm sure it comes in a little bit as I go. I'm not worried about that too much. More about, okay, getting a lot of power and a lot of speed out from the twisted part, catching it on the other side, and coming back. Thought I'd get a little bit creative with the camera angle for this one. Make your life bigger than your pain, and, you know, build that mental resiliency and have that mental flexibility to adapt, right? To understand that you can get better, to understand that, you know, your body's adaptable. So again, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Now go out there and make some gains.